Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you can leave and come back. I mean, obviously, because there's more. Yeah.
go through the agenda and get any changes or questions answered that we have, and then we'll get our meeting started at 6 o'clock. First, we have two proclamations by the mayor. The first is for National Metastatic Breast Cancer Day, October 13th, 2021. Metastatic, I'm sorry. Good grief, can't read. Honorary, anything there, Mayor?
No, sir.
Okay. Next is an honorary street naming. Anything to add there?
No, sir.
Okay. Next is approval of minutes, September 13th, 2021, 5 p.m. work session, September 20th, 2021, 9:30 a.m. work session, and City Council regular meeting, September 20th, 2021, 10 a.m. Any questions? All right, next we have set public hearings, ordinance number 214480, set public hearing for rezoning request 137721 to be held on November 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m. No changes, any questions? Next is ordinance number 214481, set public hearing for rezoning request 137821 to be held on November 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m. No changes, any questions? All right, next, public hearings, resolution number 21276, approved request for off-premise beer and wine license for Aldi Foods, number 98, located at 1413 Beltline Road, Decatur, Alabama, 35603. No changes, any questions? Next is resolution number 21277, approved request for restaurant retail liquor license for White Wolf Entertainment located at 211 2nd Avenue Southeast, Decatur, Alabama, 35601. No changes, any questions? Next is ordinance number 214479, approval granting CP&C to Decatur Morgan Hospital EMS.
No changes, just for a heads up, I would anticipate taking a minute or two to outline for y'all the parameters of what the hearing would be. Actually, it'll have some information from the ARB, and then it'll be Decatur Morgan and first response.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Next, we have our weed abatements.
No changes on any of those.
Okay. No changes on the weed abatements. Any questions? All right, moving to resolutions. Resolution number 21295, approved water tank attachment lease agreement amendments between Decatur Utilities and T-Mobile. No changes, any questions? Resolution number 21296, assessed demolition costs in the amount of $7,250 against 110 7th Avenue Northwest. No changes, any questions? All right, next, resolution number 21297, assessed demolition costs in the amount of $6,240 against 211 7th Avenue Northwest. No changes, any questions? All right, next is resolution number 21298, authorize mayor to accept TAP grant, 6th Avenue pedestrian improvements, Wilson Street to Prospect Drive.
No changes unless council has questions.
Any questions? Resolution number 21299, pay overage to Aldi for Modus Road Shared Use Trail.
No changes unless.
Okay. Any questions? Resolution number 21300, accept bid for Shady Grove Lane Phase 2. Carl?
No changes.
All right, no changes. Any questions? Okay, resolution number 21301, award bid number 21030 for household hazardous chemical collection to Tredebi Environmental Services. That was right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I spelled it out how you said to say it, so. All right, any questions? Resolution number 21302, declare surplus of municipal supplies no longer needed by the engineering department. No changes, any questions? All right, resolution number 21303, authorize mayor to engage with Maynard Cooper and Gale PC.
No changes.
No changes, any questions? Resolution number 21304, approve renaming Decatur City Cemetery to Decatur Historic Cemetery. Jason?
No changes.
All right, no changes. Any questions? Resolution number 21306, approve one-time pay increase, wellness program participation.
No changes.
Okay, any questions? Resolution number 21307, approve one-time pay increase.
For the holiday, there's a minor change to the hire order before date. We got with Stephanie, we got that corrected.
Okay, any questions? Resolution number, Resolution number 21308, approve employee engagement half-day holiday paid leave 2021.
And again, some minor clerical changes on dates. We got with Stephanie, we got that corrected.
Okay, any questions? Resolution number 21305, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreements.
Yes, there's a general approval, then there's some that's been broken out, that you would vote on separately.
Okay, anything?
Same thing I was gonna say.
Okay, any questions on those? Next is resolution number 21309, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Princess Theater. Any questions? Resolution number 21310, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Carnegie Visual Arts. Any questions? Resolution number 21311, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Boys and Girls Club. Any questions? Resolution number 21312, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Entrepreneurial Center. Any questions?
What makes these 5 special? I mean, we've got 24, 25, 26 that we're taking as a group, and we've got 5 separate.
We reflect back to the last work session. One of the council members asked that certain items be removed from the general approval because he wants to discuss those and have the ability to vote on them separately. So that's why they're here.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Resolution number 21313, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Chamber of Commerce. Any questions? Resolution number 21314, execute community service agreement Downtown Redevelopment Authority. Any questions? All right, we'll get started at 6 o'clock. Thanks.
No.
Call the meeting to order. Before we have the invocation, Councilman Pepper asked, and I think it's a great idea, that we have a moment of silence in honor of Sergeant Nick Risner of the Sheffield Police Department, who lost his life in the line of duty. So please have a moment of silence. Thank you. We have Pastor Jess Montegudo from First Bible Church to lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to gather tonight. We thank you for our city and for those who work tirelessly to keep our city safe. We pray for those who are our first responders, police, fire, and we realize how dangerous a job that is due to our brother in Sheffield who lost his life this week. So we continually pray for their protection. We pray for those who also minister through our healthcare system, our doctors and nurses, and thank you for their tireless devotion. And for those who are part of our city council, who are part of the administration of our city, we ask that you give them wisdom. We thank you for the many long hours that many people don't understand that they spend away from their family, away from their vocations in order to help to make this city the best city possible. So we ask, Lord, that you give them wisdom, help them in their knowledge, and we just pray, Lord, that you help our city to continue to be safe and to grow and to honor its citizens, and most of all, Lord, to honor you. As a minister of the Lord Jesus Christ, I ask that we pray these things in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jess. Roll call.
Ladner.
Here.
McMaster.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Pepper.
Here. All right, first off, item 5 there. Agenda items will be acted upon if they meet the guidelines necessary to perform essential minimum functions of the governmental body or a matter necessary to respond to COVID-19.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson. Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye. It's approved 5-0. Next we have 2 proclamations. First is National Metastatic Breast Cancer Day, October 13th, 2021. And then the second one will be an honorary street naming. Mayor.
So I have a proclamation from the city of Decatur, Alabama, whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The city of Decatur, Alabama is pleased to recognize and observe October the 13th, 2021 is Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day and hereby recognizes the Light Up NBC national campaign. And whereas the pink ribbon is well known for representing the fight against early stage breast cancer, and it is not inclusive of stage 4. Therefore, the Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness tricolor ribbon includes teal, pink, and green. The teal color portrays healing and spirituality. Green represents the triumph of spring over winter, life over death, renewal, hope, and immortality. And the pink, in the thin pink overlay, signifies that the cancer originated in the breast. And whereas I just got it thin. The metastatic breast cancer affects all races and socioeconomic classes, while Caucasian women see a slightly higher incidence rate of breast cancers. The mortality rate for black women with breast cancer is 41% higher than that of Caucasian women. And breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related death for Hispanic women. Now, therefore, I, Tab Bolin, as mayor of the city of Decatur, and on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim October the 13th 2021 as Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day in the city of Decatur. Is there anyone here with this organization? Okay, well, we know that there's many that have been impacted by this, and we'll ask that you remember October the 13th as that day. John Sturgis, my friend, will you join me? John, you've been a long and faithful booster of Decatur High School athletics, and we certainly appreciate you being here and what you do. And so with that, I have another proclamation from the city of Decatur. Whereas Decatur High School has a long and storied academic and sports history in the city of Decatur, Alabama, and whereas the alley that runs behind Oakland Stadium school buildings and connecting parking lots beginning at Prospect Drive Southeast and ending at 7th Street Southeast has served as the entrance to the stadium, parking, and multiple events, including school, academic, and sports activities for many years. And whereas many memories and traditions are associated with Decatur High School, and whereas the Decatur High main campus is now located on Somerville Road, but the alley remains a vital access point for school activities and buildings, and whereas it is deemed appropriate for the city of Decatur, Alabama to recognize the many traditions associated with Decatur High School and the alley providing access to the overall school campus. Now therefore I, Tab Bowling, as mayor of the city of Decatur and on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim that the alley that runs behind Ogle Stadium, school buildings and connecting parking lots beginning at Prospect Drive and ending at 7th Street Southeast shall be designated from this day forward by the honorary name of Traditions Way, signifying the historic importance of this entryway and commemorating the rich history and traditions associated with Decatur High School throughout the years. And I just realized that we have a school board member, Doug. I didn't put two and two together. Doug Backus, if you'd come up as representing the school, please forgive me for overlooking that. And we'll let Miss Emmy get a picture here. Hope you're well. All right.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, say cheese. Thank you, guys.
Nobody said. Thank you, Mayor. All right, we'll move into approval of minutes. September 13th, 2021, 5 p.m. work session.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Minutes are approved 5-0. Next is September 20th, 2021, 9:30 a.m. work session.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Minutes are approved 5-0. And last is City Council regular meeting September 20th, 2021, 10 a.m.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Minutes are approved 5-0. Next, we have set public hearings. Ordinance number 214480, set public hearing for rezoning request 137721 to be held on November 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Lee.
Lee Terry of the Planning Department. This is a request to rezone a 6.5 acre property on Milligan Street Southwest from B2 General Business to M1 Light Industry.
Okay, any questions? All right, next is ordinance number 214481, set public hearing for rezoning request 137821 to be held on November 4th, 2021 at 6 p.m.
Yes, this is a request to rezone an 8.98 acre parcel from B3 Tourist Commercial to M1 Light Industry. This is on South Highway 31 near Hightower Street.
Okay, any questions? All right, thanks, Lee. Next, we have public hearings, resolution number 21-276, approved request for off-premise beer and wine license for Aldi Foods, number 98, located at 1413 Beltline Road, Decatur, Alabama, 35603. Lori?
They've met all criteria.
Okay, any questions? This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone here to speak, can speak now. I thought for sure somebody, as many calls as we got. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-276 is approved 5-0. Next is resolution number 21-277, approved request for restaurant retail liquor license for White Wolf Entertainment located at 211 Second Avenue Southeast, Decatur, Alabama, 35601.
They've met all criteria.
Okay, this is the civil axe throwing. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this, you can speak now. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-277 is approved 5-0. Thanks, Lori. All right, next we have ordinance number 21-4479, approval granting CP&C to Decatur Morgan Hospital EMS.
Before you speak on this, Chip, I'm going to recuse myself from this matter due to a conflict of interest. I'm going to remove myself from the podium. That way there's no conflict just in case. Is that good, Chip?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to?
Yeah, just a brief outline. At the last ARB meeting pursuant to section 3-14 of the Decatur Municipal Code, the ARB voted unanimously that Huntsville, the Decatur Morgan Hospital EMS met the criteria to become a provider of ambulance service for the city. That being the case, it's been forwarded to the City Council for this public hearing. It's why we're here tonight. At the hearing, what you'll be listening for is that finding that was just quoted to you, whether the public convenience or necessity require the operation of another ambulance service as a provider, whether the applicant will be able to perform permanently and with quality, where the experience that the applicant has in rendering ambulance service, the experience the applicant has in satisfying judgments, if any, the safety record of the applicant, the financial ability of the applicant to respond to damages to property resulting from negligent operations of an ambulance, character and condition of the ambulances and capabilities of the listed personnel, and also the other CP&C holder, which would be first response in this case, may present, if they choose, material to the council concerning the advisability of the application, specifically emphasizing the change in response time, level of care, level of service, level of equipment, and efficiency of the area to be served by the new provider and the city as a whole. It requires a simple majority vote that the public convenience and necessity requires the issuance of the certificate, that the applicant meets the required qualifications and will be able to give proper and adequate service in the best interest of the inhabitants of the city. And if those are found, then the city clerk would issue the CP&C.
Thanks, Chip. We need to open the public hearing now.
Yes, sir. And then I don't believe the fire department has anything. They're here to answer questions. Decatur Morgan will have a presentation as the applicant.
Okay, we'll consider the public hearing open, and first we'll let Kelly, Decatur Morgan, give her presentation.
And I have a presentation to hand out.
Okay.
So,
You've got notes on the back of that?
I got notes on the back
You
of
got
that.
notes on the back of that?
Do you have, can you email one to Mr. Jackson?
Can you?
Okay. Mr. Jackson, they can email you. She's handing out some, handouts. Do you want her to
Sounds good, thank you.
send it to,
Thank you.
send it to your, city email? Okay. Oh, it's personal. Can you give that to? Okay.
Step outside.
She's sending it, Mr. Jackson. Kelly, are you okay if we go ahead and start while it's coming through, or do you want us to wait till you get it?
I am, you can move forward.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead.
good, thank you. First, Mr. President, Council, thank you for allowing us to show you what we've done with our ambulance service. We believe that Decatur deserves better. North Alabama is a growing area, and we are prepared for that growth. Healthcare is vital in the event of a growing community, and we want the best for our area. Due to the increase in response times, dissatisfaction in the community, and delayed transports, we believe approving our CP&C application will solve these issues and improve the outcomes, which is what we want for our community. At this time, I want to introduce who we have here tonight to present, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tyler to go through the presentation. First, Joe Campbell's here. He's our general counsel for the Huntsville Hospital Health System. Anita Walden is our chief nursing officer. Brian Vest, our service line director of inpatient services. Carrie Wynn, who stepped out, she's our director of all the emergency services, including our emergency rooms. Tyler Stinson is here. He's the director of our EMS ambulance service, and Denise Moody is our EMS coordinator. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Tyler and let him go through the presentation, and then I'll come back to answer questions.
Okay. Thank you. Just give a brief overview about myself and Denise. Both of us combined, we have about 35 years of experience in EMS. About 20 years of that is in EMS management combined between the two of us. Both of us started off our career in EMS here in the city of Decatur. We like to call it home. We're glad to be back and be able to provide the level of care that we feel the city needs. Our trucks, we currently have 10 trucks plus 2 supervisor vehicles. 3 of the trucks that we have, 2 of those are scheduled for remount, out of service, to be remounted. Then we have 2 more that will be next in line to be remounted. But the rest of them are 2019 or newer. Mileages range from less than 10,000 miles to we still have 2 that we're waiting delivery on that we believe will be less than 1,000 miles as they're on new chassis. Equipment. So all of our trucks have the Striker power load system, Striker power stretchers. This system is state of the art. We're the only service in Morgan County that has those. I know that there are services in North Alabama that have them, but we're the only one in Morgan County that has them. It's a battery-powered hydraulic system that raises and lowers the cot at a touch of a button. It boosts safety during loading and unloading patients. It minimizes your risk of patient drops, and it reduces the risk of injuries to your employees. You can literally load the stretcher with one hand, where up to a 750-pound patient, you can literally load it with one hand. So that's really going to minimize your risk of injury to your patients. As we continue to look at our equipment, our cardiac monitors, we have Zoll X Series cardiac monitors. They're manual defibrillators and monitors. This is state-of-the-art technology. It has real CPR help technology. It has 12 lead capabilities. It has integrated Wi-Fi systems for communicating with hospitals and charting systems. The big issue with that is if we run somebody who's having a heart attack, while we're still on the scene, we can send a copy of that EKG strip to the hospital, and if they have to call a cath lab team in, they can call them while we're on our way to the hospital with this patient. So when we walk in the door, we go straight to the cath lab with this patient, because in the time is muscle when it comes to cardiac events, and that's going to speed that process up. Our monitors also have invasive monitoring capabilities, so that gives us the ability to do critical care transports. If we have patients that are on balloon pumps or something of that nature, we can monitor those while we're transporting those patients. Lucas devices. We currently have 5 Lucas devices. All 4 of our ALS ambulances will have one on board with them. We actually, and then we will have one in our supervisor vehicle. These devices provide perfect CPR, and a battery will last 45 minutes doing continuous CPR. It's going to improve outcomes. It's going to improve the perfusion to the brain and the heart. It's going to improve neurologic outcomes. It's going to eliminate the need to switch providers during CPR. It's going to provide CPR guidance and feedback, and it's also going to help with your staff fatigue and help reduce injuries. Another thing about this is if you're bringing a patient downstairs, this machine's going to do CPR on them, whereas if we didn't have this, that patient's not going to get CPR done until you get them down to where somebody can start manually doing CPR. This device will do it while you're moving a patient. It doesn't matter if they're in the ditch and on the side of the road or if they're in a hospital room. It's going to provide perfect CPR. Additional equipment we have our pediatric restraint systems. We have stair chairs on all of our trucks, scoop stretchers on all of our trucks. Staffing. Currently we have 38 employees. 20 of those are full-time, 18 of those are part-time. We currently have 1 critical care paramedic, 14 paramedics, 8 advanced EMTs, and 15 EMT basics. Operations, we're going to utilize our shift supervisors. They will either be a paramedic or a critical care paramedic. We'll staff those in a quick response vehicle. That way they'll be able to intercept with crews and on critical calls or high acuity calls. They'll also be able to respond to some of those calls and provide direct supervision. Since they're not on a truck running calls themselves, they'll be in a vehicle where they can respond to the high acuity calls to provide supervision for their crews and help when needed. Another thing that we'll be doing with that shift supervisor is if we have a crew held up in the ER waiting on a bed, because that's a national issue, we're going to send our shift supervisor there. If that patient can come off a cardiac monitor and can sit in a wheelchair or sit in a hospital bed while we're watching that patient until a room becomes available, we're going to send our shift supervisor there and let them take over care to clear our ambulance up so they can go back to running 911 calls. Field training officers. We will have EMT and paramedic field training officers. These field training officers will be responsible for completing new hire orientation rides with our employees and any remedial education that's needed. And they would also fill in as a relief supervisor if needed, if our shift supervisor was off duty. Our prompt and efficient service, our response times, our shift supervisors and Denise and myself will be monitoring those on a daily basis, looking for any inconsistencies, trying to find out why we didn't meet our response time if we didn't. We'll also use system status management to make sure that we're posting our ambulances throughout the city where they need to be posted so that we can meet our response times. And we'll also have some BLS trucks to be able to pick up our non-emergency transports. Quality, EMS quality oversight, we will have an internal QA/QI process. This will be completed on a daily basis by our shift supervisors and our field training officers. And There will be a scoring metrics. This will get reviewed on a weekly basis by our medical director, looking for areas of improvement for our employees. We'll schedule quality review. We'll have the hospital involved in that, the fire department, and 911, and even our EMS region come in and do chart reviews on a quarterly basis with us. And then community outreach. We're going to collaborate with community and healthcare providers in the Huntsville Hospital Health System and ambulance services to enhance services and improve the health and well-being of the community. That's what we're here for, is the community. We want to provide a better service for them. Presence in the community for public events, gathering, festivals, participation as requested in local sporting events, participation in local education outreach opportunities as well. And on the last page of this, it has our year-to-date call totals. You can look at that. When we started in February, we did 18 calls. Last month, we did 350 calls, and 141 of those were 911 calls.
All right, any questions on the presentation?
I got just one. You answered on the equipment. Let me ask on the staffing. What would you consider fully staffed with that fleet? And it may be, I don't know if that's a real number you can give, but just a roundabout. I mean, how do you feel about where y'all are at now versus where y'all think y'all like to be?
So right now, we're running 2 24-hour trucks and a 12-hour truck. That's half of where we want to be. We want to be at 4 24-hour trucks and 2 12-hour trucks. So we're going to need about 40-ish full-time employees.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I've got one or maybe two. And this, y'all are gonna like this. So I know this came up at ARB, which is, it's gotta be my favorite topic to discuss, but I know there's a provision in there about residency within the city limits. Is that correct? A certain number of your employees have to
They have to be full-time.
Have to be full-time, yeah. So there's no residency
No.
requirement? You love it. That's all I can think about.
Do you want us to put that in there?
Do they live in Decatur?
I do.
Sorry, so what is your breakdown full-time department?
So, let me go back and look at it so I won't tell you
You got
wrong.
20 full-time, 18 full-time.
Because you were looking to hire 2 more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
20
20
full-time,
full-time and 18
18
part-time, and we're interviewing people 2 or 3 times a week, so that staffing is going up. It's just,
Without the license, it's hard to get
It's
some
hard to
people to
get
come on board. They think, once we get the license, I think we can get there pretty quickly.
So my other question is gonna be a much better question. So you spent put a lot of capital investment into this, a lot of work, and you can tell just from the presentation and what you've said. Can you just kind of talk about a little bit of this is a long-term vision for this. This is not, come in because I've heard Mr. Childers and Tyndall talk about how the 911 calls are not profitable calls. And so there's going to be an expense there that's not, it's not a profitable line of business. So I just want to make sure that the vision is a long-term vision to provide this service, and that it won't be in 5 years, hey, this doesn't really make sense for us financially. We don't want to do 911 calls anymore. Can you just kind of talk about that?
Well, having the transports, and I know he's probably going to talk about that too, helps. As I've said in the past, we pay a little over $1 million a year for our patients to be transported. So I will save money by doing some of my own transports, but it's also an efficiency thing. So having your own ambulance service, being a hospital, really helps you get patients in and out. One of the things that Tyler mentioned was, if we have somebody holding in the ER from any service, if we can bring the supervisor to actually take care of that patient, then that truck can get right back out on the road and do 911 or transports or whatever needs to be done. So it helps us a lot. That's why you see a lot of the hospitals in the Huntsville Hospital Health System have ambulance services, because they can actually, create efficiency is the main thing, getting the patients in and out. We talked about it back in February. It was hard for us to get patients in the hospital if we couldn't get the patients out. So getting these people back home or to rehabs and things like that timely, really helps a lot. So we're in it for the long haul. We've spent over $3 million on this. This is not something that, we're going to stop doing. I would see us, growing it and expanding more. With the Huntsville Hospital Health System, we have HIMSI, which is part of, they're their own board in Huntsville, but we work with them really close. We're looking at asking for scholarships and other things to get more and more people interested in this as a profession, and hopefully grow everything across to North Alabama.
All right, thanks, Kelly. Any other questions? I think we're good for now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll let first response, I think y'all have a presentation as well.
Mr. Ladder, if Decatur Fire has anything, if you want to go ahead and take it in and we'll follow up.
I don't think they did. Did y'all have any?
They're available for questions if you've got them.
Okay, I think you guys can go ahead. Did he have the email, David?
That's what I was telling her.
Okay.
If we want to take the time to email it to him, that's.
Well, hang on, can I just email this?
You can. If he's watching, he'll see the presentation because the
Okay.
delay.
audio is gonna be, it's gonna be delayed a bit.
Mr. Jackson, they have a presentation as well. I think Stephanie's gonna email it over to you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Mine.
All right, so before we start on our presentation that you guys have in your hand, as well as the visual that we'll do, I'd just like to start saying thanks for giving us your time for us to come up here and talk about the situation that we have here in Decatur. I think everybody is really confused as well as tired of the ambulance issue in Decatur. It's only been going on for 50 some odd years now. Seems to be the hot topic, if you will, besides the fire department in Decatur. Just a quick follow-up on some of the equipment and things that Mr. Stinson had talked about. Power load hydraulic system, we have that. We have that in our advanced life support units, where we've had that for about 4.5 to 5 years now, as far as that goes. As far as monitors go, he's exactly accurate. Monitors are very, very important defibrillators. In the units, we have had the LifePak 12s. We've invested in the LifePak 15s, which is comparable to the other ones. Transmitting requirements, he's exactly right. Transmittal to a hospital to be able to divert to go to another hospital if you have an issue of a STEMI or something. That has actually been a law since, or a rule in the ADPH since 2014, and we have complied with that since 2014 in regards to that. So at that point, we'd like to start by asking exactly why are we here? Why are we here tonight? First response started June 26th of 2012. There was another provider here, a very short-lived time. Since that time, Decatur has had excellent service. Thousands of transports have been made, and I don't think this council or the council previously has had a patient care complaint launched to the city about us. So in this video, or these audios, there's clips that we've taken from meetings. And what we're going to establish tonight is this board, or this council rather, has been told a lot of things. Mr. Ladner, I know you're sick of the ambulance. I feel it.
Good.
But for you to make the correct decision, you need to be getting the correct information. Not we think, but the truth. You need to be hearing and what you need to be seeing. We've already heard about response times. We're going to go into that shortly. But since 2016, there's been an issue here in Decatur. The previous city council was given a presentation from a city entity about starting their own ambulance service. After that is when we really started having issues, if you will, in talking about challenging response times, in other words. Saying we're not making our response times. That was your previous fire chief. Okay? We're going to prove to you tonight we've made those response times. Your ordinance is built around response times, performance, and we're going to prove that. We're also going to prove that there may be something or a reason that the city wants us to leave. We don't know. Nobody on this council has said that. Nobody on the council has said that. So we're gonna go into that. Again, little short, brief clips. Not gonna take very much of your time.
Hey, David, just real quick, sorry to interrupt, but the item on the agenda is the CP&C for Decatur Morgan Hospital. It's not firing first response. This presentation needs to be in regards to their CP&C.
Correct.
Okay.
And when we prove to you.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that we're talking about the item on the agenda.
Yes, and what we're trying to establish with this council is the need is not there for 2 ambulance providers. Okay? And we're going to go into response times. Again, short clips. We're going to make it short for you and address the items that Mr. Alexander spoke about. And then at that point, we'll open up for questions. So the first clip I want to show you, it was from July the 6th, 2020. Before you guys got here, it was with the other city council that was here, and we were challenged on response times. $10,000 penalty, and we challenged it, and we won it because of some computer errors and things of that nature that the 911 center made us aware of. And that had been going on for years. But I guess until, as you would say, the pressure got turned up about response times, we never really sought to go to Ms. Ferris and talk about that. So the first clip we're going to play, and when we play it, I want you to take note of what is said in the clip, the expressions in the clip, and the numerous ways. Okay? In that's the end of the clip. In that clip, you heard Mr. Alexander elate they will never make their response times again. It's a city official. What does that mean? We had just won an appeal, and that was said. This proves that there's entities that will go to no end to give misguided information to you guys. Okay? The council before this had been given bad advice, misleading advice, and we want you to, the next clip is going to show you 2 city officials making a statement about when there's 2 providers. And I apologize, we thought Mr. Tyndall was going to have a clicker. We already had this planned out, but they're having to kind of go through it there. Yep.
Work at
we missed one.
Actually, there's articles from 2012 where the response time went down when we had some issues because they was posting their trucks out in different areas. So the response time was
Okay, so that's what was stated at a meeting. If you look at page 4 on your printout, this is 2012. Response times of 90% or less of 7 minutes and 59 seconds, 76% is us. Today, we're in the 90s. We'll look at the next page, page 5, 83%. Again, we're in the 90s now. Page 6, that's September, 80%. We made it within 7 minutes and 59 seconds. Page 7, October, 83.6%. Page 8, when we look at the first response stats for that, 88.9%. Okay, we're still in 12. The next one, page 9, 83%. Page 10, we're at 89%. So we're getting where we want to be. 2013, the next page 11, we're at 90. That's what the ordinance requires. Okay. So while another provider was here, our phenomenal response times was 76 to 83%. If that happened today, we'd be facing $5,000 penalties and points. The truth.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
Let me make sure I'm clear. Are you saying the argument is percentage versus times? Because in the clip, I heard time was faster, and I don't have those numbers, and you guys may know. Are you saying that percentages are higher with 1 but lower with 2, but response times are faster with 2 but lower with 1?
The way that 911 calculates response times is every call that you respond to and you make your time mark of 7 minutes and 59 seconds counts to the good. So if you're at 90%, and let's say you had 100 calls, 90 of them you made in that time. So when you're talking 83%, and we can look back at that because they've done a great job of calculating this out. At 83%, that meant that 93.4% of the time we were at 10 minutes. Okay, so you want to see that 90%. That means that you're making your response times at there. So when we look back at when there was 2 providers, 76 to 83% average was what we were making. The next slides, we could go through 2013, but the next slides that we'll pull up on here.
What page?
Let's go ahead and go through that to the next slide, please. Let's go to page 15, please. Okay, page 15. 2013, we was at 91.4%. That's annual. That's a great response time. Next slide. 2014, 91.17%. Next slide. 2015, we're at 87.7. Might ask why the drop off there. The hospital done some much needed renovations, closed a lot of beds in the emergency department, as well as the mental health system in the state of Alabama. Done some changes, and we started to have to do transports that were 5-6 hours away from us rather than across the highway to Decatur General West. Next slide. 2016, we're back up to 89.29%, right there at 90. Next slide. 86.87, again, those long transfers, but 86.87, so that's 87%. Next slide. 2018, right there at 90% on the fractile. Next slide. 88.87 for 2019. The end of 2019 is when we started seeing some people calling in sick and things of that nature, and we all know what happened shortly after that. Next slide. 2020 was the bounce back. We worked people free reign of overtime. We were dealing with COVID. We had people calling out, but we opened up and allowed as much overtime as anybody would want. 92.67% for that. Next slide. 2021 so far 93.2. There is a reporting problem that I know that Ms. Ferris is working out to start gathering response times again. As you can see, we've been at 90.8% since 2013. Since there's only been one provider here, we've been at 90.08% with one provider, not two. So the previous council being told and this council being told with multiple providers, the response time was phenomenal. It wasn't. When we became the one provider, that's when the response time became phenomenal. Next clip. Okay. Go ahead and play that, please.
We were approached by the hospital regarding transport on how to deal with this. I think it's important to note at the time that the ordinance was drafted, having separate transports by anybody that wasn't a full-blown ambulance was not legal. In April of last year, that changed, and now there are both intra-facility and inter-facility transports allowed by state code.
Okay. On that clip, we heard, that was February 1 in front of you guys for the Special Resolution 21-28 for intra-facilities or inter-facilities only. Next slide. The state of Alabama does something great. Every year they publish a summary of all their changes, so we don't have to go through and read the complete thing again, even though we all end up reading the complete rules. And as you'll notice in this slide, and one more slide, please. Those are the rule changes for the year 2020. Nowhere in there does it mention what you guys were told on February the 1st. So where's the change? I sent an email out, which, slide 31. Go ahead.
If this resolution is passed,
just hold it. On 31, you'll see the email that I sent out asking what the change was, and respectfully asked for the particular rule number as well as the definition of the change, that I am unable to locate the change. I sent that out to the city. The response from your legal department, no sir, period. You in first response are represented entities in an adversarial position to my client, the city of Decatur. Clearly, you're seeking to challenge the council's actions last Monday. It would be unethical for you and I to have any discussion on this matter. I simply asked for the rule number. None was provided because there's not one. Again, you guys made a decision on February 1 on something that was not valid.
Mr. Ladner, if I could have just a second, since this is the Let's Beat Up on Chip show. The reason we're here is to see if Decatur Morgan Hospital is capable to operate an ambulance service and whether they are qualified and whether we need the ambulance service. The presentation before showed how many calls they're having to run now from 911 because first response is not covering them. If it helps speed along the process, I am perfectly willing to stipulate that David Childers doesn't like me. I'm good with that. But what we're here about today is whether Decatur Morgan Hospital can and should be running an ambulance service. And this tired argument of Tony Grandy and Chip Alexander and Tracy Thornton and Ashley England are just picking on me is a little bit old, and it also has nothing to do. Once upon a time, he filed a CP&C application. It went through the process, and that's what we did. Decatur Morgan has filed the application. We're going through, and that's what we need to be doing, not giving a list of who they dislike at the city.
Mr.
Yeah,
Leiter?
I don't disagree. I think the way to speed it up is to let him get through his presentation and not get into any personal things. So,
And this is not personal.
I do agree with what Chip said. It's what I said in the beginning, that it does have something to do with
Sure.
what the agenda item is. So if we can just continue to move through it, we're near the end. So
With this being said, again, I'm trying to prove to this council, you made a decision on February the 1st, that is now affecting us now, okay? So that does affect the CP&C now. And you made that decision on bad advice, okay? Mr. Jackson asked the question, if this rule changed in 2020, then why have you waited until such time to bring it out? And I think it's one more slide up. One more. Go ahead. Oh, never mind. That one. Okay. We'll skip over that slide. I think she had skipped it before. It was presented at the meeting that the rule changed in 2020, and there never was a rule change in 2020. So the information you guys acted on February 1 was inaccurate information. Okay? The slide that you're just seeing there is the ARB meeting. The ARB meeting was held on the 14th. It also wasn't published 7 days in advance, and the agenda wasn't published 7 days in advance. And we challenged the meeting if it was a correct meeting because Robert's rule and such things as that. And the meeting was held anyway. That was the meeting that forwarded this CP&C to you guys. And we still challenge if that meeting was a valid meeting or not, because we have proof that it wasn't posted at that time. So, in addition to all that, I'm going to adhere to your request, and I'm going to skip a number of items because it just adds proof to we've been given a bad deal. It's been planned. Proof that it's been planned. But we're not going to get into that right now, any more than we already have. There's a clip in here, and we'll be glad to show it to you, that Ms. Ferris, the 911 director that has experience in ambulances, was asked how many ambulances for the city of Decatur to serve the city of Decatur. She said 4 to 5. Great number, because that's exactly right. First response, since that time of 2013, we've ran 4 and 5 units, and that's what's given us our great response times that we have. Again, since 2012.
Let me interrupt. On average, how many days are you running 4 to 5 units? Because I've listened to every ARB meeting. I've heard the back and forth for years on this. And the constant question is, how many trucks do you have on the road today? Time and time again, I've heard 3. I've heard different stuff. So I guess my question is, on average, are you saying throughout the year you have 4 to 5 trucks on the road today? Is that correct? And let me ask, on top of that, are all those trucks meeting the guidelines of the new ambulance ordinance?
Good question. Until around June of this year, we had 5 or more units on the road. In June, we started losing employees. Some employees went to the other service that we're speaking of tonight. Other employees, EMS employees tend to migrate to an ambulance service that is the only ambulance service in that area for job security. We've had employees just come in the office and say, you're going to get ran over like a bulldozer, and we're going somewhere else to work. And if not, we'll come back to work for you. That's what we've dealt with. So we have lost and suffered damages as a result of the February 1 vote that you guys didn't have the accurate information on. And we understand that you acted on just the information that was given to you. Things that was presented is the hospital discharge from the ED time, the wait times. We heard tonight about techs, our supervisors sitting with the people and releasing the ambulance. Why did that not start in 2020? Why did it not start earlier this year? If you have the staff, right? The hospital, that is. And we know that there's a shortage nationally with this. Across the board, there's hospital wait times. But you don't see every city that has hospital wait times cranking up another ambulance service. If that's the case, maybe I need to go borrow some money to build another hospital. Okay? You don't see that happening. Everybody's in the game together. We see that there's significant slowdowns in the emergency department. It's just the issue is just the personnel. One thing that I want to leave you with, 2 things actually. You voted on a special resolution in 21-28, February. You guys have been inundated with talking about hospital wait times. After February the 8th, or February the 1st, you didn't hear anything else about hospital wait times. No complaints before the council, no complaints before the ARB, nothing. So 1 vote magically made that go away. My question is how did it happen? They didn't start operating until June 28th. So from February 1 to June 28th, what happened to the problem? Was it artificial? Was it a plan just to be able to make an avenue to get into the city? I think that's a valid question that we all have to ask. How did overnight this problem go away, but yet an ambulance service didn't start operation till June 28th? Again, you know what you have with first response. We've made our response times 90.08%. That's what your ordinance requires. We have met that. We've overcome circumstances of hospital beds being closed down for remodel, the mental health system of being able to have to transport people to Dothan, Alabama, to Golden Triangle, Gadsden, every day. But we've still met the challenge that the city of Decatur has given us. Tonight, I've not heard anything that would present the need for another ambulance provider. And that is a requirement that has to be met with the certificate of need, public need and convenience. We heard about equipment, we heard about operations, but nobody has proven the need. Our response times, again, 90.08. That's what you require, and we've met that. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Any questions for Jason or for David? All right, any other discussion, Mr. Kirby? And on public comment, we are limited in 3 minutes, no presentations.
My name's Charles Kirby, 1706 Sanders Street, Southwest Decatur. Before you start timing me, please, if you have called an outside professional source and inquired about this issue, please raise your hand. Okay? I'm going to give you a quick synopsis on this, and I'll bounce back and forth a little bit, so feel free to ask questions when I'm done. It's a foregone conclusion. I think this will get approved tonight. And I'm going to remind you that we operate with a system that we require somebody to take all the 911 calls. And in order to do that, we entice them with the paying calls. And you're heading towards disruption of that system. It's already been disrupted. It's already been disrupted. Decatur has a long history in this. A AMR company left Decatur overnight years ago, calling Decatur's pass handling overbearing. So Decatur didn't know what they were doing, and Decatur hasn't improved in that span of time. We are currently in the top 5% in the response times we're being given for the provider we've got. Top 5% nationwide. But we heard Decatur deserves better. Yet the same source that said that had 2 rounds of layoffs and a wing closed, and can't actually receive patients fast enough. You've had 2 news stories on WHNT about response times in Huntsville, 20 and 40 minutes. Nobody over there is upset, okay? If the Huntsville hospital system was so gung-ho on serving the public, why aren't they opening a service in Huntsville? It's worth noting how we got to where we are today. I personally have showed complaints in the past to both attorneys for the city and at the time the past fire chief showing violations of the current code. Among other things, HEMSI units and so-called critical care units, when I understand the state of Alabama says HEMSI is not a licensed critical care service, picking up patients without going through the correct process. Since February 1st, your process that you approved has been violated several times. You also have a problem with your city attorney. He was predisposed to issues with
personal.
But I want to point out that you're getting unethical advice here, okay?
We're not going to get into who's unethical and who's not.
But it is past articles in the Decatur Daily where he said their financials would never get disclosed to the public. You can find those articles out there. You can find the articles since then that he disclosed those financials to the newspaper. So you're not getting told the correct story across the board, and you have to look at motives themselves. As I said, I personally have shown photographs from my laptop when I was with the city to the various officials. And I've noticed that when Mr. Childers has complained about the way it's been handled since then, it's always an automatic dismissal of the complaint, but we seem to be looking to find complaints the other way, okay?
Stephanie, is that 3? Let's wrap it up, Mr.
Okay. This issue, where it's going, is going to leave you with unintended consequences. Consequences going to make you step back when it happens and say, well, we didn't know it was going there. We had no way of foreseeing that, okay? Part of that is Decatur's reputation as being anti-small business. Decatur has a very terrible reputation of that, and that's where it's going to happen right now. And I personally checked into the details of the ARB meetings, and I don't know one yet that's been legal and legally advertised. So this issue shouldn't technically be before you right now, since it's supposed to go to the ARB, and it hasn't technically been legally presented to the ARB. Thank you for your time.
Can you respond to any of the ARB discussion?
The clerk's office handles the posting of the notices, and the notices go out. And I've been upstairs for 11 years. I can't remember a time that the clerk's office has failed to get notice out properly, and I've seen no proof that they've missed notice on any of the ARB meetings. I'm confident in them and confident that it was done correctly. And can I just say one thing?
If you want to.
And I won't talk long, but it's a sad state of affairs that their entire presentation is that I'm out to get them. That's probably because Tony and other people are not here. I would just ask you to look at the presentation that Decatur Morgan has, the trucks they have. Y'all have sat in on the ARB meetings. You've heard the lack of response time, the argument over response times, that we can't go because the hospital's mistreating us. I don't know where these numbers came from tonight, but, and I have no dog in the fight about who gets it, but what we're here about tonight is whether Decatur Morgan Hospital can provide ambulance service, and if it's needed, and if that's the case, that's the way you should vote.
I guess where I am on the whole thing is, and Dave and Jason, you know, we talked, right? And it was, you know, it's restrictive ordinance. I agree with you. I mean, you know, it's you require, you know, no other ordinance is as strict as one Decatur has. So, you know, we talked back and forth, and ARB made recommendations to increase the response times, delete some of the penalties, increase the mileage of the trucks. You know, so that was done through communication, and once that's done, you know, we see another provider apply for a CP&C. I think one might go with the other, but it's what you guys have been asking for, and we do it, and now all of a sudden we're the bad guys for doing what, you know, you were asking to do. And to touch on what the hospital said, we're growing. I think, again, I'm not a professional, but you know, we're showing some positive trends in growth, and so far, you know, I think there's going to be plenty to go around. But that's just me.
Anyone else, I guess, from the public that wants to speak, or you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of allegations tonight. That was not the purpose of this meeting, from my understanding. There's been unethical behavior, artificially created problems, illegal meetings. You know, I hear what you guys are saying, but what we're discussing tonight is the need. I think that's a conversation for another day, another place. The only bit of argument that I heard against it was about maybe 2 minutes of this whole 30 minutes or longer we've been going on, and that was when you were discussing percentages in response time. And you answered some questions and shed some light on it for me, so I appreciate that. The only thing, I don't want to put either one of you on the spot, but the floor is open if either one of you would like to discuss anything, Chief or Ashley. You know.
We both can.
We need to come up there and we stay right here.
To the podium.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, Ashley, I'm with Decatur Fire Rescue. Going back through Mr. Childers and Mr. Tyndall's PowerPoint presentation they did, back then when he had a 90% with 2012, from 2013 is when Dempsey left until 2018, 19, I think is when it was. That's when the percentages went below 90. But we can look at that all day long. The one thing that I'm the one that researched not the ordinance, but the CP&C that the hospital turned in. I'm the one that's checked their trucks off. I'm the one that deals with how many trucks first response has running daily. I've asked them several times to provide me that information of how many trucks they have daily. Mr. Childers has said up here just now 4 to 5 trucks, or 5 to 6 trucks is what they need to run daily. Right now they're running 2 medic trucks. The hospital currently has 3 trucks on today. Looking at that, looking at rolled calls, it comes down to, I strongly feel, and I recommend to the ARB that they present this to City Council for City Council to vote on this CP&C. We can go in all day long of he said this, she said that, and that's not what this is for. Looking at the roll calls, if you look at the calls that have been rolled by first response, if Decatur Morgan EMS was not there to pick those calls up, that would have went to somebody outside the city limits, into Morgan County, Limestone County, Lawrence County, places like that. That's a longer wait time that the citizens that are requesting help need. I'm the one that presented to the ARB, recommended it, I investigated it. A member of Decatur Police Department investigated with me. I strongly feel that this needs to be approved. If I didn't, I wouldn't tell you to approve it, or ask you to approve it. But I brought it to them. I've looked at their equipment, their trucks, the equipment they have. The power lift stretcher, the system they're talking about is not the same as Mr. Childers talking about. This thing actually picks a stretcher up for you and puts it in the back of the truck. So that's the type of equipment that they're talking about. It's really cool. You should go look at it. But things like that. But like I said before,
I brought this to ARB, I've looked at it, I've been a part of EMS for 20 years. Not only at the fire department, I've worked for 2 ambulance services and also worked for the air service, so I've been around. So.
When do you check trucks?
I checked them, actually in the ordinance it states we can check anytime. Decatur PD or Decatur Fire can check these trucks at any moment. Anytime we feel like there's a safety concern for the patients, mechanical or things like that. I checked first responses the first of the year, 2021. I checked Decatur Morgan EMS when they started running in February. I checked their 3 trucks off. I didn't have to. They didn't have to let me because they don't have a CP&C. But for the safety of the citizens, I felt like if the citizens are going to be riding in the back of these trucks, I want to make sure they're good. As they got new trucks in, I called Tyler. We come looked at them, checked them out. Everything's good.
I saw a list, I guess, from when you guys did the January.
Yes, sir.
And I only counted 2 trucks from first response that were within what looked to me like the mileage guideline.
Yes.
Do you know if that's accurate?
So right now it's 326 and 327. Is that correct, Jason? Correct. Okay. So the previous ordinance, before we changed it to the 250,000 miles, it said 200,000 miles per truck. That was going on for a while because we were, Councilman McMaster said a while ago, we was in discussions about changing that on the ordinance. Also, in their 5-year business plan that they turned in when they recently got their new CP&C, it said they would have 2 to 3 trucks by February 2021. Is that correct, Mr. Childers?
We did put that in our
Okay.
strategic business.
So this is, since it's now September of 2021, we have none. They don't have those trucks. They said they have 2 or 3 in customs. So that's where we're at right now. But yes, they have 2 trucks that meet the 250,000 mile requirement.
All right, any other questions or discussion, public comment?
I'll answer any questions you have for me, but I think probably everything's been over that. If you got any questions, I'll be ready to answer.
I think we're good unless anybody else has a question for Chief Thornton. All right, anybody else want to speak? All right, we will consider the public hearing closed.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say, my concerns are very simple. Emergency transports are not possible, to a certain extent. Regardless of what the Decatur ordinance says, and regardless of what promises they give us, we have no mechanism to guarantee that they won't stop running those emergency runs when they want to stop and start just doing local transports or things that are profitable for their company. That's one big thing for me, is that we have no mechanism to hold them to that. And we can ask them all night, if they intend to continue running emergency transports regardless of how profitable or non-profitable they are. If they say yes, and we talk about 5 years down the line or a year down the line, if they decide to stop, then, there's nothing that we have for to fix the fire. In my opinion, the hospital has the ability to slow competitors' response time. They can put them on the wall, as they say, have them, in the hospital and without beds, and they have the ability, regardless of how we want to look at it, whether they do it or not, they have the ability to impact a competitor's response time. And I'll say this, I don't know, I think I heard Mr. Childers say that there have been no patient complaints, and I don't know that that's not accurate, if I heard it right. Is that what you said, David?
I think he said no formal complaints to the city. David, is that accurate? Yeah, that's what he said, Mr. Jackson.
Okay, then I apologize, because I've gotten complaints from patients, but again, my concerns outweigh, and I know that I've been very critical of first response. In 2012, when first response did their CP&C application, I voted no against I voted against them. I voted no. And the reason was because we had one ambulance service and Decatur EMS. And I felt that at that particular time that it would disrupt our provisions, the provisions that our ambulance services could, as well as that they could provide for our citizens. It could be disrupted. And so I was not, and so that was my concern. I think other ambulance services, AMR left Decatur, if I'm not mistaken, because of that same reasoning. It was just too many ambulances in the city of Decatur. And when we say that Decatur is on a growing trend, then let that happen. But right now, we've grown by 2,250 plus people since 2010. So if it grows and we need another ambulance service, then so be it. But at this particular time, we've not grown to an extent where we require another ambulance service. And, you know, again, it's just, I think that we have the ability to put somebody else in play. We'll have call jumping and every other thing that goes along with that competitive situation. So tonight, I can't support this. It's not that first response has my total confidence, but I do have concern that bringing another ambulance service in will hurt even the transports that we have now. So I'm very concerned over that, and concerned that in a very short period of time, when the emergency responses or emergency transports become not a profitable way to do business, then I think that they can pull out, and there's not a thing we can do about it. And so those are my concerns. That will be my position tonight.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jackson.
If I can respond to that, if he's talking about they can just shut down and go out of business, that's accurate. If he's talking about they can quit running 911 calls, if you're a CPNC holder in the city, you're required to run 911 calls.
Yeah.
So,
I think that I don't disagree. That was kind of what my question was to Kelly earlier is that is a concern for me, but it's no different than the concern I had when we were talking about them needing to get a bond or putting up some money to let us kind of bridge the gap of somebody leaving in the middle of the night. We still have that problem. We still haven't
Correct.
addressed that problem. And I do have that same concern, but.
And I mean, if Decatur Morgan were to try to put them on the wall, so to speak, we have an appeal process with the ARB for situations just like that.
We've appealed that, or we brought that out before, and they stated in the minutes of the meeting, they have no jurisdiction over the hospital. That's written in.
Yeah, and that's my concern too. I think that the state, because it's a legislative situation, I think the state is the only one that can regulate them, not the city. So if they do decide to pull in the middle of the night because it's not profitable and they've already run whatever the first response out of business, then, you know, we're in that situation. I think all those things have to be considered, you know, in lieu of how we feel about a certain company. I think that those have to be consideration. So that's where I'm.
Yeah, Ashley.
We have spoke about the issue with the hospital or the first response being at the hospital and not leaving with the time frame that they feel like they should. I have spoke several times with Carrie Wynn and Jean and them about that issue. Every time it boils down to is there's a patient that needs to be carried out in order to get that patient in to the hospital. There's nobody holding first response up or any ambulance service at the hospital on purpose to make them miss response calls. That's not happening. Any other than that?
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. I'm not pointing to a particular incident. I'm not pointing to anything that anybody says this has happened. What I'm pointing to is that potentially this could happen. If we get into a competitive situation, this could happen. And so I never once cited any particular incident that occurred. So, you know, my thing is that it's a possibility. It's a good possibility. If things get really, really competitive, that can happen. So that's my concern. And I don't want anybody to mistake or misconstrue anything that I've said. I've not said that it happened. I'm not saying that anybody has called me and said said that, or anybody that comes, pull me aside and says, this is what's happening, we're being delayed. But I am saying that, it is potentially, something that could happen. And so with that, if we get in a really, really competitive situation, that is a concern.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. It is a possibility, but if I'm looking at possibilities and I'm looking down a sheet with a bunch of 300 and 400,000 mile trucks, there's a lot of possibilities that can happen from that too.
And I agree with that. That could be a possibility, and if something like that happens, Mr. Tindall, Mr. Childers knows that they can submit an exception form or review form for a particular thing, and if we can show that that person was at the hospital for a lengthy amount of time, then we can do a time exception form. That's always a possibility, and the ER has ways of tracking when that patient come into the ER and when they was given their bed assignment. We've noticed that. We know that also.
I'll just say, based on feedback from residents since August, was it 25th last year? Almost immediately getting feedback from residents about, delays for dialysis transports and issues that have happened. Just, they're anecdotal stories. You don't make decisions off of that. But I don't see how, this is just me personally, I could not support, based on the trucks that are there, the equipment that's there, based on the feedback I've gotten from residents, the team that's being assembled. I really just can't vote against that in my right mind, and feel like I'm doing the right thing. Now, that's just me personally. The rest of the council has to make their own decision, obviously, but I don't know how I could not support what they've presented tonight. So.
Council President, Council, I'd just like to address our growth. The growth numbers that we have right now are strictly based on those who participated in the census. In January, I'm told by the planning department that we will see other numbers that will also provide a reflection of those who did not participate in the census, which will take those numbers up, we believe, closer to 60,000 residents.
Thanks, Mayor.
So, Mayor, that's the situation with any city. That's not just Decatur. Any city is a safe Christian city, which is safe. So that's what the census process is about.
Okay. Any other discussion on the? All right, we have a motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye. Ordinance number 214479 is approved with a vote of 3-1. And I guess Mr. Pepper has left us, so we will continue. Next, we'll get into our weed abatements. First is resolution number 21278, assessed $285 against, well, first off, David, any changes on these? Okay.
Any chance we can take it at once?
The request made by Mr. McMaster is to take all the weed abatements as one. Any opposition to that?
I oppose that.
Okay. We will go one at a time. First is resolution number 21278, assessed $285 against 423 Memorial Drive Northwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
I was simply saying, reiterate what I've said before, is that our city right-of-ways are in need of care, and I fully support the Community Development Department and what they do. It's a needed action, but I do think that it's critical when we're not taking care of our ditches and our right-of-ways and we're lacking in our maintenance of our properties, and we're finding our citizens for doing the same thing that we're doing. So I'm not in favor of citizens not mowing their grass, but that's exactly where I am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution 21278 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-279, assessed $285 against 412 West Moulton Street Northwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-279 is approved 3-1, and Mr. McMasters has stepped off the dais, but we will keep rolling on. Resolution number 21-280, assessed $285 against 1302 Stewart Avenue Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike.
I'm thinking to get it on the floor.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jackson. Second by Mr. Jackson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-280 is approved 2-1. Next is resolution number 21-281, assessed $285 against 810 18.5 Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike,
Second.
second by Mr. Jackson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-281 is approved 2-1. Next is resolution number 21-282, assessed $285 against 1203 Sherman Street
Alright.
Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So
Motion by Mr. Pike,
Second.
second by Mr. Jackson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-282 is approved 2-1. Next is resolution number 21-283, assessed $285 against 815 19th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Motion by Mr. Pike,
Second.
second by Mr. Jackson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-283 is approved 2-1. Mr. McMasters is back on the dais. Next, we have resolution number 21-284, assessed $285 against 914 19th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-284 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-285, assessed $285 against 1809 White Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-285 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-286, assessed $285 against 1810 White Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Master, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-286 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-287, assessed $285 against 1306 Somerville Road Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-287 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-288, assessed $373.50 against 1622 College Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters, Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-288 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-289, assessed $285 against 1505 11th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener,
Aye.
McMasters,
Aye.
Jackson,
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-289 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-290, assessed $285 against 1301 Penny Lane Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-290 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-291, assessed $375.50 against 814 Busby Road Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-291 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-292, assessed $285 against 314 Larkwood Drive Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-292 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21-293, assessed $285 against 319 Bob White Drive Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-293 is approved 3-1. And resolution number 21-294, assessed $285 against 515 Carolyn Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-294 is approved 3-1. Next, we have resolution number 21-295, approve water tank attachment lease agreement amendments between Decatur Utilities and T-Mobile. And I just want to thank Tom for hanging in there with us.
Thank you, Mr. Ladner, Counsel. Tom Cleveland, Water Resources Manager, Decatur Utilities. This is actually two different agreements with T-Mobile and Decatur Utilities. T-Mobile has requested to modify their antenna arrays on our Boys Club tank located at 703A 5th Avenue Southwest and the Walter Jackson tank located at 1823 Magnolia Street Southeast. Our board has approved these recommendations for these agreements. T-Mobile says it will take them approximately 6 weeks, once approved, to make those modifications. We would request approval.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-295 is approved 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Resolution number 21-296, assessed demolition cost in the amount of $7,250 against 110 7th Avenue Northwest.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ladner, Counsel, David Lee with the Community Development Department. The demolition's already been carried out with the approval of the council. This would be a lien that would just help protect the city's position.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-296 is approved 4-0. Next is resolution number 21-297, assessed demolition cost the amount of $6,240 against 211 7th Avenue Northwest.
Same thing, demo's already been done.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-297 is approved 4-0. Next, we have resolution number 21-298, authorize mayor to accept TAP grant, 6th Avenue pedestrian improvements, Wilson Street to Prospect Drive.
Yes, this is an application this is actually a grant that we received to do sidewalks along 6th Avenue. We're just requesting your approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
What's the match on that?
What's the match, Herman?
160.
160,000.
160.
And that was budgeted
Last year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
$640,000 award.
Okay.
160 match.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll. Good, okay, roll call.
Lyman.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21298 is approved 3-1. Next, we have resolution number 21299, pay overage to Aldot for Modus Road Shared Use Trail.
Yes, this is just an invoice that we received from Aldot for a grant that we did for the sidewalk, for the bike trail along Modus Road. This is just overage on the grant that they're requesting payment for, $5,913.17.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21299 is approved 4-0. Next, we have resolution number 21300, accept bid for Shady Grove Lane Phase 2. Carl?
Yes, Mayor, Council, this is some bids for the remaining improvements to our Shady Grove Lane improvements, and recommend accepting this bid.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21300 is approved 4-0. Next, we have resolution number 21301, award bid number 21030 for household hazardous chemical collection to Tredebi Environmental Services.
Council President, Mayor, Council, I'm Charles Booth, the purchase agent with the city. I recommend the award to Tredebi being the lowest responsible bidder.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21301 is approved 4-0. Next, we have resolution number 21302, declare surplus of municipal supplies no longer needed by the engineering department.
Yes, this is to surplus 108 expired 5-gallon pavement marking paint, of yellow paint, and it's also 40 5-gallon buckets of the pavement marking paint in white.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21302 is approved 4-0. Thanks, Becky. Resolution number 21303, authorize mayor to engage with Maynard, Cooper, and Gale PC. Mayor?
Council President, Council, I had an opportunity to visit with you this time last week and explain what we're talking about doing here with Maynard, Cooper, and Gale, a law firm based out of Birmingham that will represent the city in Washington and trying to help us with federal funding. First, to determine where we need to place a bridge over the Tennessee River. And they will also work with us on trying to obtain grant funding that we might be leaving on the table. Then second, it will be to, if the relationship works as we expect it to work, would be to help us in finding funding to actually have a bridge one day to get us across the river, another route across the river.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I've always been told that if our legislative delegation in DC is doing what they're supposed to be doing, we truly don't need a lobby. And that may be true, it may not be true. But I do feel that we've not done our due diligence, we've not done environmental, we've not done economic impact study, we've not located a place for it to cross. So I think that it's premature to go with a lobbyist at this point, even if we decide to go with one. So that's our position on that.
Mayor, I do think we're probably a long way. Talking to Dwayne, you know, it's a long process to get to the bridge. I mean, it could be a decade. I don't know. It could be a long time. Do you foresee the firm representing us for all? I mean, there's $1 trillion infrastructure bill that's lingering.
They're going to work with us in any way that we would like for them to work with us when it comes to obtaining federal funding. We know that our primary contact, being Dane Cuttrell, served as Chief of Staff for Senator Shelby prior to joining the firm. And it's the staffers that actually do a lot of the legwork. I don't want to take away anything from our senators and representatives, but these folks get it done. And so they will help obtaining funding for many things that we might be leaving on the table.
Yeah, I definitely seeing $1 trillion. I don't know that anything like that's ever been, 1.5 trillion.
Right.
We don't need to miss any opportunity, and surely there's some opportunity for bridges and roads and other infrastructure. A lot of people say, I hate lobbyists. Well, I like lobbyists that are lobbying for the stuff I want them to lobby for, So the city of Decatur would be one of those. So I do see a need here, so I'll support it. But any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna support it for the exact reason Mr. Jackson said. There's no geo, there's no pre-construction, there's no engineering. From the research I've done on it, that could cost anywhere between $4 to $7 million to do that. I don't know if we're in a financial position to just set aside $4 to $7 million to have that done, not only with beginning a relationship to carry on to find the funding. So I'll be in favor of this today.
Mayor,
Do we think that for the $9,000 that we're going to pay the corporation, that they're going to do all of those things that would cost $7 million?
We sure do hope they will. I mean, along with many other things that we're missing out on from a federal level.
Yeah, the funding.
The funding, not necessarily.
No, just to get the funding so we could do it.
What's the contract kind of?
So the contract is currently for a 12-month period, with a 30-day opportunity to opt out.
Okay.
Well, by either party.
Yeah. All right. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21303 is approved 3-1.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. Next is resolution number 21304, approve renaming Decatur City Cemetery to Decatur Historic Cemetery. Jason.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, Jason White, Parks and Recreation. We feel like this name change better reflects the vision and goals for the cemetery, and we ask the council to pass this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? I did see DeLoyne here earlier, but I think we went on too long for him.
Yes.
But I know I talked to him, he does support this, and I know there are others that have invested a lot in the cemetery that support this as well, so. Any other?
DeLoyne's been a huge help.
Yeah.
Huge help.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21304 is approved 4-0. Next, we have resolution number 21306, approve one-time pay increase wellness program participation.
Rochelle Stanlin, Human Resources Department. This is our annual event to acknowledge and recognize those employees who participated in the annual local government wellness opportunity to help us retain discounted premiums on our health plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21306 is approved 4-0. Next is resolution number 21307, approve one-time pay increase.
This is for our holiday recognition for our employees. Again, it's $100 bonus or one-time pay increase to all employees who are employed on or before November the 28th and paid out on December the 3rd.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21307 is approved 4-0. Resolution number 21308, approve employment engagement half-day holiday paid leave 2021.
We've been practicing this for several years now. This is a half-day paid leave on the day prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, and the Christmas holiday and the New Year holiday.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21308 is approved 4-0. Next, we have resolution number 21305, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreements.
Evening, council. This is the cumulative resolution, so all of the appropriations that are not individually listed out as requested, which will be the following.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21305 is approved 4-0. Next is resolution number 21309, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Princess Theater.
This is this community service agreement with Princess Theater for $80,000.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Yeah, bond issue, and we have resolutions to support this, a bond issue where we borrowed, I think this figure was $1.2 million from Princess Theater. We had an agreement with Princess that if we borrow the money for them, that they would do the debt service on the borrowing, and that they would no longer come back and ask for an appropriation. Immediately the next council came in and they defaulted on that payment, on the debt service payment, so the city assumed that, and they're back for the appropriation again. And it's exactly opposite of what they said that they would do and what they would not do. And Carnegie, the next one is the same situation, so it'll be the same vote on that with Carnegie.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jackson. Any other discussion on the Princess? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21309 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21310, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Carnegie Visual Arts.
This is a community service agreement with Carnegie Visual Arts for $17,000.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21310 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21311, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement Boys and Girls Club.
This is the community service agreement for the Boys and Girls Club worth $100,000.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll simply say that, when we look and dive into their financials that they presented, their revenues exceed their expenditures by $147,000. Their 21st Century grant is for $200,000. That 21st Century grant covers salaries and supplies here in the city of Decatur. And when we look at the overheads they have, one of the two units is located at Oak Park Elementary School. They don't have rent, they don't have utilities. So the 21st Century grant actually covers their expenses there. The 3rd Street Club, of course, the 3rd Street Club is 50 years old, so they don't have rent there. They probably have utilities and no overhead there. So programs, many of our youth services programs, and if we wanted to, add to the services that they're providing, I think that it would be more appropriate to add those dollars to our youth services department and let them expand what they're already doing.
Any other discussion? I think during the, when Patrick came and talked to us, I did ask about funding, because you see Boys and Girls Club everywhere. They're full from what he said, and they want to be able to add additional programming. I think youth services is also full, Boys and Girls Club's full, so, you know, I get good feedback mainly from people in the academic, our school system about Boys and Girls Club. So, I did have a similar concern about, their funding, but, they want to use it to expand programming, so.
That's what in their year.
Let me add this, Mr. Ladner, you're absolutely right, they are full. And, many of the kids who go to that school and many of the kids who are in that neighborhood, go to each of those programs. But as I said, they've got a $200,000 grant that covers those expenses. So we're actually giving money to programs that, they got fund balance. They got a $400,000 fund balance. So that's my concern. So yeah, they're full, but they've got the funding to cover the students and the activities that they have. And apparently they've been told, some of them have been told that they need to spend more money, because, they've got a fund balance.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21311 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21312, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement entrepreneurial center.
Yeah, this is the community service agreement for the entrepreneurial center. It's for $165,000. $90,000 of that is intended for the Best and Brightest program.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
When we started this program with seed money to start a very good and worthy program. And we've gone we've gone and we've traveled far beyond that seed money, and we've just gone beyond where our commitment was. So I will not support that.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jackson. Any other discussion?
Man, I would think the return has far exceeded the seed money we put into it. I mean, with the best and brightest, with the young people moving here, but that's just me.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21312 is approved 3-1. Resolution number 21313, authorize the mayor to execute community service agreement, Chamber of Commerce.
This is a community service agreement for the Chamber of Commerce worth $100,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21313 is approved 3-1. Next is resolution number 21314, execute community service agreement, Downtown Redevelopment Authority.
This is the community service agreement with the Downtown Redevelopment Authority worth $84,100.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I'll simply say that, there was a commitment made by the Downtown Redevelopment Authority to, assist with the old train depot that, as far as my understanding still, we're tens of thousands of dollars short of that. So I think that they have not fulfilled their commitment financially that they had stood for. So I think it's important that we hold them to that.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call? Aye.
Ladner. McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Resolution number 21314 is approved 3-1. Next, council work session will be held on October 11th, 2021 at 5 PM. Next regular council meeting will be held on October 18th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Anything else from directors? I know Ms. Sandlin has one.
Just need to get some follow-up guidance on the Director of Environmental Services. We had 3 applicants we interviewed, 2 were internal, one of those has withdrawn their interest. The other candidate, I think they have consensus is not a fit. Need a recommendation.
All right.
Would you like me to make a recommendation?
I'll just share my personal thoughts. I think Mr. Stover did a great job in his interview. I think we, of course, like an internal candidate. As I was looking through, the packet that we got, there were a lot of applicants that totally did not fit the job that was. Once you dig into the description, it was almost more that environmental services, and we got, I think, a lot of engineers that had environmental backgrounds, and even I think in healthcare and different things. I don't know if it makes sense to do this, but it may be a recommendation for me is if there's a chance to at least try one more time to see if we get someone with solid waste background, absolutely keep Mr. Stover as a candidate. I think that could be the fit, but I think we owe it to, as it's our job, we owe it to the citizens to make sure that it was posted and made sense the right way to make sure we get the applicants that we need to get externally. So that's just my 2 cents.
I'm going to chime in, and I'm going to say that this position is one that, in my opinion, calls for a manager. And it's more so manager than someone who knows the day-to-day operation. We've got a very capable superintendent down there who can handle the day-to-day operation of our city. And I do think that Mr. Stover brought some unique perspective. He talked about computer integration into our garbage truck or our sanitation truck that would ping places where the loader truck needs to pick up. That would be an efficient use of time. But he brought new ideas. And I think that when we look at his resume, just the number of boards that he's on, the amount of confidence that people have in him to put him on certain boards, United Way and different boards that mean so much to the community. And he's been a long-standing member on many of those boards and recurring member on many of those boards. So I think that, in my opinion, we're looking for a man more so than anything else. And I think Alan Stover, through the Community Development Department, has demonstrated that managerial experience and that managerial ability. And I don't know that we're going to get a whole lot more. We have people who are out of work across the country. And if we put it out there, again, we might get somebody, but I don't know if there's anything that should make us think that we're going to get different candidates or a different candidate pool. So I would support putting Alan Stover in that position because I think he's capable. I think he can build rapport with the workers down there. And I think that he has a background that supports what we're looking for. What I'm looking for anyway.
Mr. Jackson and Council President Ladner, I couldn't agree more with what both of you have said.
That's not much.
We kind of had 6 different thoughts, so I'm curious.
Well, but Mr. Stover has definitely done the things that Councilman Jackson laid out.
Absolutely.
However, we had a limited pool, and to be able to come back and put some different language maybe that better defines the role, that gives us a larger pool of candidates for us to be able to interview, will tell us in the end where we need to be. And it may very well be that that's Mr. Stover.
Yeah, any other thoughts?
I'll agree with that.
I said that first. I'm just gonna let everybody know that. But when it came down to who we interviewed, when it was Alan and Kip, it's like 2 of the kindest people I know, and I knew there was going to be an internal struggle with, what happens. I was still a little bit bumfuddled by the shallow candidate pool, so to speak, and I do think it has to do with how we advertised it. And when Kip withdrew his his nomination, that made me feel a little bit better, because you knew you weren't gonna have to hurt one that you respect. But we also, like I said 3 weeks ago, we owe it to the citizens. Did I emphasize that again? We owe it, I think we owe it to the citizens to interview more than 2 people. And let's be real, we interviewed 2 people. That's just me, and if it, you know, if everything goes the way it's going, and I hope it is out, but I think we owe it to the citizens and the taxpayers of this city to interview more than 2 people.
Any other discussion? Do you have any thoughts?
I think it's worth the due diligence to go back out and emphasize the solid waste component and just ensure that we don't have an expanded candidate pool before we make a final decision.
Yeah, I am kind of with Carlton. Maybe I should have listened to him 3 weeks ago. I'll make that note. But
that is recorded, right?
I said I might.
Oh.
But I guess I would feel very comfortable with, I think Alan has, or Mr. Stover, sitting right there in front of us, has the leadership qualities that, you know, managers, what Mr. Jackson said, I would say the same in a leadership role, to lead the department, and especially with Kip sitting there, you know, running the day-to-day for us. I want to make sure we've gone through every avenue before we move forward. So I think if it sounds like we have a consensus to, or not a consensus, but 3 that want to try to open it up. Mr. Stover stay as a candidate, hopefully he will, and then we'll go from there. If nothing comes up and there's nobody to interview, we know where we're going, but I would feel more comfortable with that route.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else from directors? Mayor? Nothing. All right. Anything else from council?
I have something. Kip said earlier in the meeting that it appeared that, that I guess first response and others take shots at him, and he said he could take that. And I'm pretty much of the same cloth. I don't know what kind of cloth Kip's made out of, but I don't mind people taking shots at me. And someone sent me a Facebook post that said that Mr. Jackson didn't like the way the budget was presented, and as he hasn't liked years voted against this year's budget. But it went on to say that this process was carried out exactly, I'm reading this verbatim, this process was carried out exactly the way that Huntsville and Athens does their budget. Now, it might be similar to what Athens does, but in speaking to council members from Huntsville, it was shared with me that they, as a collective body with a quorum in any situation, spent more than 70 hours covering their budget as a collective quorum. So I don't have a problem with people taking shots at me, even subtle, but I would ask that if you're going to make a comment, be factual with it and use the appropriate information rather than speculation, innuendo.
You are directing that at me, and I spoke with Huntsville's finance director, and that is exactly the way she told me she did it. So.
Well, then their finance director was not in with council members, because I've spoken with council members who said that they've gone over this for months actually, and that they spent more than 70 hours with quorums doing that. So I think that maybe you might want to check the finance director again, but the council members were in meetings where they had quorums and they went over budgets and they itemized situations and they looked at different CDBG budgets and every other enterprise account and everything else. So I don't know where that finance director person was, supervisor was during that time, but council members were discussing their budgets in quorums.
All right, thanks, Mr. Jackson. Anything else from council? We're ready to go. All right, we're dismissed. Thanks.